Well, I was about to post another video roasting LeBron's entire career, but I just had to post this one first because this one's hilarious. You all are gonna love this one.
Well, the LeBron propaganda machine has been working overtime as of late, likely as some thinly veiled tactic to distract us all of the very credible looking ongoing reports pertaining to the stories connecting James to performance enhancers. Quick everyone, don't look at those reports over there. Instead, look over here at this "we done with the 90s" trending bit of nonsense. But one thing this latest trend has fanned the flame of even more so in recent days and weeks is the ongoing, seemingly never-ending debate between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And one such thing that has been highlighted as of late is the glaring absence of a Defensive Player of the Year award on the Kings' resume. Of course, as we know, Jordan won both the Defensive Player of the Year and League MVP in the same season, in which he also led the league in scoring. Yeah, LeBron never did that, but according to his rabid jock-sniffing attack dogs throughout both the mass media and various social media platforms, James totally deserved the award in the 2012-2013 season. A year many claim James was at his very best and was cheated out of the Defensive Player of the Year award, costing him the perfect season. Yeah, this is a claim that many have just accepted to be canon, but taking a closer look into this season really begs the question of how this vote was even close in the first place. Of course, it was Memphis's Marc Gasol who ultimately won the award in what was a fairly tight vote, as he received only 212 of a possible 1,089 points, including just 30 first-place votes from a panel of 121 sports writers and broadcasters. LeBron finished second with 149 points and 18 first-place votes. And in case you were wondering why that might have been, there is really only one viable answer. The pathetic push to pack LeBron's resume with undeserving accolades was already well underway by the 2012-2013 season, as LeBron had practically no case whatsoever for that award that year. He was, after all, on the Miami Heat super team juggernaut. So while they did have the top record in the league, posting a 66-win campaign, the only remaining question is, so what? That's exactly what they were supposed to do. Memphis, on the other hand, had a 56-26 record with about as limited of an offensive roster as you can possibly imagine. The Grizzlies' leading scorer that season was Rudy Gay, who averaged only 17 points per game, but he only appeared in 42 total games on the season, making their qualified leading scorer that year Zach Randolph, who averaged just 15.5 points per game.
What?
Yes, you heard that correctly. A team won only 2 games fewer on the season than the Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, and Kawhi Leonard Spurs, with Zach Randolph leading the team in scoring at 15 points per game. And you might be wondering just how exactly they did that. Well, their defense, of course. The Grizzlies led the NBA in points allowed that season at only 88.7 per night. Can you wrap your heads around this premise, kids? A team holding other NBA teams in the 80s per game for an entire 82-game season. Hell, that's basically a halftime score these days. Anyway, it was Marc Gasol who anchored that defense. Memphis had a plus 7.5 score differential with Gasol on the court versus a minus 3.9 when he was on the bench. In addition to that, Gasol ranked very highly in the advanced metrics on the defensive end, as he finished 5th in net defensive rating, 2nd in defensive win shares, and led the league in defensive box plus minus. And LeBron, you might be wondering? Yeah, well, he finished 8th in defensive win shares, 5th in defensive box plus minus, and 49th in defensive rating. Yet we are routinely inundated with the lie that LeBron got cheated this season. And piggybacking on that one is the age-old tale that LeBron was an elite defender throughout the course of his entire NBA career, and that he could defend all positions 1 through 5. While LeBron was a high-level defender for a portion of his career, it was during a limited segment. As the same jock-sniffing media obsessed with padding LeBron's resume as much as they possibly can, you know, the same group that tried their damnedest to give him this Defensive Player of the Year award, yeah, they were the same ones that vote on all NBA defensive teams every season. And you know, if they were only able to get LeBron 5 first-team selections and 1 second-team selection in 21 years, his defense was wildly overrated for the vast majority of his career. Oh, and all 6 of his selections came in a consecutive 6-year span. He was named to the first team for 5 straight seasons beginning in 2008-2009 and running through 2012-2013. With the very season he was robbed of that Defensive Player of the Year award being his final on the first team. He was then named to 1 second team the next season in 2014, and then never again after that. As the remainder of his career over the last decade now and counting has been spent with him resting and loafing around the court on the defensive end so he can continually stat pad his all-important hollow box scores on the other end. And yet, his ignorant stan base continues to eat it all up, including the fact LeBron was 3 votes away from winning Defensive Player of the Year award that season, where despite the narrow margin of differential for Gasol, it wasn't that close. But gee, I wonder where this idea came from.
And he was 3 votes away from winning Defensive Player of the Year.
No, not just the media. This narrative got percolating in the first place from the source itself, the undisputed king of narcissism and self-aggrandizing. Yeah, he was very disappointed about the voting. The following is an excerpt from an article by Ben Golliver from April 25th of 2013. Quote, Thunder center Kendrick Perkins publicly championed teammate Serge Ibaka, who finished 3rd. Spurs guard Manu Ginobili stood up for teammate Tim Duncan, who finished 6th. And now, one of the league's most influential voices has spoken up on behalf of himself, of course. And LeBron went on to be quoted in this article saying, as it pertained to the voting, quote, it sucks, it sucks, it sucks. And we saw as recently as 3 years ago, the self-proclaimed king and GOAT, who has been giving himself undeserving titles for years, was still harboring some ill will towards Gasol.
Mark has my Defensive Player of the Year trophy at his house.
So just be sure to put all of the fairy tales of this perceived elite defense that LeBron has played throughout his career in the proper context, like all of the other wildly overrated and embellished accomplishments in the King's treasure trove, which, as has always been the case, will remain light on the hardware that really matters.
Never sue the other driver after a car accident.